Derek Chisora opened to Dillian Whyte trilogy, battle after Joe Joyce war. This is from a Boxing Scene article. I'm just going to read a few quotes here. I'm just going to read the headline as well. Derek Chisora said he will happily entertain a trilogy with old foe Dillian Whyte after defying the odds to beat Joe Joyce. Chisora was not fancied by many going into the contest against Joyce, but pulled out a special performance to beat his domestic rival in a punishing contest. Chisora started the fight at a fierce pace and seemed to land right hands at will, but Joyce was unfazed until he was finally dropped in round number 9. Chisora confirmed after the fight that he has no plans to retire and will have 2 more contests. He teased the date, a December date in Manchester, and a trilogy with Dillian Whyte could be an option. I'm just going to say, they did have their first fight was in Manchester. It was the co-main to Joshua versus Molina. And that really, to be honest with you, I mean, that Joshua Molina card, that Chisora Whyte fight, even the build-up, sold that card to a lot of people, because I certainly was not pumped at the time for Joshua Molina, and I don't think a lot of people were, to be honest with you. I really don't. Chisora says, I will have a rematch with Dillian as long as he's 100%, as long as he's clean 100%, said Chisora. There is no point fighting someone who is not clean, but if he wants a rematch, I'll give it to him. And to be honest with you, Chisora, the ball's really, he is the ace side if you think about it, because yeah, Dillian Whyte won both fights. A lot of people would feel as though, some people felt Chisora nicked the first fight. There are a lot of people who feel that. I always felt Dillian Whyte just scraped it. It was close. He was leading, if I'm not mistaken, I think on 2 of the judges, at least 1, maybe 2 of the judges' scorecards in the rematch. Didn't help that he got a point deducted, and then ultimately that made him get a bit more reckless and he was ultimately taken out. Didn't help him. So he's always been in there and always been competitive with Dillian Whyte. That second fight was in 2018, 6 years ago come December. So it's a long time ago. Both guys' careers, well, if you think about it like this, right? Dillian Whyte since 2018 has lost twice. Once to Povetkin, which he avenged, and once to Tyson Fury at Wembley Stadium. Right, massive event, Wembley Stadium. Chisora, since that Dillian Whyte loss, has lost to Alexander Usyk, Joseph Parker twice, and Tyson Fury. I think that's it. Right, so he's lost all those guys, but he's still fighting and still on big cards like Joshua versus Hellenius, and he's still main eventing like he did last night against Joe Joyce. Dillian Whyte, yes, he got to Wembley Stadium, and his last fight was in a hotel in Castlebar, County Mayo, off the west coast of Ireland. That was not even televised. Yeah, major fall from grace. Major fall from grace. That's crazy. That's like jumping out of a plane without the parachute. You have just hit the deck. That's Dillian Whyte, the way it's been the last 2 years for him. And his fight against Christian Hammer, although it wasn't televised, there was footage, little bits of footage and snippets of it you could see. He didn't look good. Now, what I will say is that Dillian Whyte had been out of the ring for over a year. He probably only had a couple of weeks to train, because that card that was in Castlebar was already announced prior to Dillian Whyte being added to it. He was only really added to it about 2 or 3 weeks out, so he probably wasn't training as hard as he should have been. And you've seen with Dillian Whyte in the past, when he's taken fights on short notice, when he's not had full training. Like, I'll give you an example. When he fought Marius Vac on the undercard of Joshua versus Ruiz 2, that was in Saudi Arabia, I think he only took that fight on, again, a couple of weeks notice, like 2-3 weeks notice. Now, that was a fresher Dillian Whyte, a much fresher Dillian Whyte. He hadn't been knocked out twice by Povetkin. Well, he hadn't been knocked out by Povetkin and Fury. He hadn't had 2 bad knockout defeats. And he came in out of shape. He looked horrible. He looked slow, sluggish, lethargic. And Marius Vac recently just got knocked out in 2 rounds by Moses Attempt. Stopped in 2 rounds, I should really say, by Moses Attempt. But he was dropped. Dillian Whyte never came close to dropping him. Was actually hurt in that fight. Took plenty of shots and made Marius Vac look about 5 years younger than he was. And that's purely because he was out of shape and he didn't train properly. So I would say Dillian Whyte is probably one of those guys where he needs to have a full camp to look anywhere near his best. But that was then. This is now. He was knocked out by Fury 2 years ago. He struggled to labour to a decision over Franklin in 22 and didn't fight in 23. And this year he has the one fight, as I said, against Christian Hammer. Nothing on the horizon. Him against Chisora, it would sell if they done it in Manchester. If I don't know, is Frank Warren looking after Chisora now? Because the way Chisora was speaking, it kind of sounded like he's looking after him now. Could you get away with doing that on TNT pay-per-view? I don't think you could. I think you could get away with it. Well, Sky obviously did it, but you could get away with it back then when both guys were a lot fresher and younger 6 years ago than you could now. I don't think you get away with it now. No way. I think that's definitely a main event on TNT. Maybe if you stack the undercard, but I would think that would be a bit too brazen of Frank Warren, or even Eddie Hearn for that matter, or even Ben Shalom, a boxer, if they did. Any of them did. That'd be a little bit too brazen at this point to put that on pay-per-view. I don't think you get away with that, but it would be a decent fight. I am someone who feels Chisora should walk away. Personally, I think that was a great way. Like, reading that, they were spot on when they said he'd defied the odds. I didn't give him a chance of beating Joe Joyce. To do that in the O2, I think that's a great way to walk away. That's brilliant. That's how you want to do it. You know, you're going away with a big upset win and like, see you later boxing, look what I can still do. That's a great way to go. Now, if he did fight Dillian Whyte, again, I don't really... You see, I know Chisora has a couple of good rounds in him. He can still swing some big shots. He still has power there. You give him opportunities, he'll take them. I don't really know what Dillian Whyte has left in the tank. I really don't know. Franklin is better than I thought he was, so that win has aged a little bit better. You know, I'm not saying Franklin's a world beater, but he's definitely no slouch. The Hammer fight told us nothing, so we really don't know what we're going to get with Dillian Whyte. If they did do it, I'd watch it. Not gonna lie, I would. I think I'd like to see Chisora retire, but if they did do it, I'd watch it. Trilogy fight. And I think because both guys are older, and both guys are certainly worse for the wear now, both guys are well and truly shot born at this stage, you probably would see a pretty damn good fight. You probably would see big shots going, guys getting dropped. Because Dillian Whyte, like, I mean, at this point now, you know, Dillian Whyte just seems to get hurt every fight now. And Alexander Usyk, the likes of Dave Allen, have been saying how hard Chisora hits. Listen, if he was hitting Dillian Whyte with the shots he was hitting Joe Joyce with last night, Dillian Whyte, Dillian Whyte be down. Might get back up, but he'd be down. So I'd watch it. I would watch it, and it might be the fight to make. It might be the fight that makes most sense for Frank Warren. Might not even be in the UK. Could do it on a Saudi show. Dillian Whyte goes back to Matchroom. Derek Chisora stays with Queensbury. Matchroom Queensbury Part 2. There you go. I mean, I would watch it. I'm sure Turkey would probably look at that and think, yeah, why not? Someone commented on the post-fight review with Chisora, and they said, like, he does kind of deserve one of those Saudi paydays. And he does, in a way, to be fair. He's made a lot of money, Chisora. Fury fight taken out of the equation, he's still made millions and millions. But yeah, maybe a Saudi payday. I mean, I think you could make millions and millions on a Saudi payday. You're not going to turn your nose up to that. Maybe he has earned at least that. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Dillian Whyte, Chisora 3. Would you watch it? I would. I would watch it. I think it'd be good fun. I think it'd be a fun fight. I don't know who I'd have favourite in that fight. I probably would still have to edge Dillian Whyte. But saying that, how shot is he? We just don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. He mentioned clean. That's going to be the big question, isn't it? A tree is known by its fruits. What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments. Hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe as always, people, if you haven't already. Peace.